Hello everyone, we'll be waiting for 5 more minutes and then we'll be starting with our session. Till the time we are starting with the session, I would love to know where you people are from. Also, I would like you people to share the joining link with your friends so that they can also join and get benefited from the session. Hi everyone, so I'm Gunjan Paneri. I'm your host for this session. I would love to welcome you all to Design Development Days 2022 and become part of our journey. Before starting today's session, let me give you a brief about Designer and DDD to the ones who are people are new to here. Designer is a community platform which emphasizes bringing the best and of the creative minds together to make the design enthusiastic acumen together. Our vision and mission includes upskilling the design personnel by helping them to learn or relearn from scratch, to go about in the right path and to provoke the effectiveness of the vision. We empathize the designers and plan our resources accordingly. Talking about DDD, Design Development Days brings forth events, workshops, and competitions which will be fruitful for both designers and the developers, with a fear to keep learning from the smallest new things. This initiative by Designer has all the greatest perks for the designers who are the beginners as well as those who are well skilled with their field. In this session, we are welcoming Garima Mehta to help us understand more about design, how to design a case study, an A-class case study. Talking about her, Garima is presently a designer at Microsoft. She is a consultant at EY and an ex-design lead at Infosys. She has given more than 20 talks related to design, and is also a TEDx speaker. She loves to share her knowledge and is a mentor at ADPlist, Design.org, and many other platforms. She is also recognized globally for efforts in accessibility in digital products and featured at Women at Infi and GAAD events. She is also a founder of Qualum Curry, which is recognized by TOI, IIM, and Radio Mirchi. I'm sorry. I would like to welcome Garima Mehta to Design Development Days by Designer. Ma'am, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Kunjan. Thanks a lot for this kind introduction. Let me know if you can hear me well and audio, video, everything is fine.
Yes, you're perfectly audible and visible.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, designer, and thank you everybody for being here today. Monday seems to be super packed, but I'm not going to take much time. We'll have a quick round about a little bit of how do you start. When you have questions about what do I really put into my case study, into my portfolio, and this would be a session for all the beginners who would like to transition from different career backgrounds to UXT or are still newbies into the industry. So this would really be a helpful session to figure out what you can put in your portfolios and your case studies to make them even more better. Gunjan, let me just share my screen and please let me know if you can uh, let me know if you can see my screen and everything. Well, Gunjan, can you see my screen?
Yeah, your screen is visible.
Perfect, perfect. So before we start into what a UX case study is and how do I make a good impactful UX case study, this is what I'm going to talk about. The agenda is going to include a couple of things around portfolio, what and why of a case study, because it's extremely important. As a designer, we understand how do I build a case study and what are the important fundamentals of a case study. How do I or be an engineer or an business grad, and it would be easier for you to explain your work on your CV. But having a CV telling that I've done a boot camp or I've had this education is not enough as a designer, because you have to showcase what talent or what how did you implement your skills in real life, right? So this is why portfolio becomes an extremely important part of all of our works. And now coming to how a portfolio should be designed, because it really represents your work, you as a person, and what will you bring to the table. If I hire you or if somebody hires you, what will you really bring on into the industry or into my company, right? So portfolio in that case becomes a, a good compiled version of all of your best works. And let me tell you again, I want to repeat that I'm saying portfolio is the best of your works. You need not put everything that you've done, just don't bring all the works that you've put and just try to bring or build a bigger case study or a bigger portfolio. It needs to be very subtle, or it needs to be compiled very thoughtfully, so that somebody who looks at it knows that this is the best of the works that you can do, right? So understanding where do I start now. Initially, I was thinking if I should put this under this section or not, but it's extremely important to understand what different platforms we have, because I meet a lot of people and they have a lot of confusions around, should I make my own website or should I write a Medium blog or do I make a Behance case study? What do I really do? So when it comes to if you are somebody who's lot into visual design or graphic design, I think Dribble would help. You could put small shorts about some of your works and then create a detailed Behance case study, or link it to some of your detailed case study. That would be a good way to represent both of it. While Medium or a blog will help you document your entire case study in detail. However, I would not prefer it a lot. I mean, my preference would still be on Behance for two simple reasons. If you're trying to be a hybrid designer, somebody who's into UI and UX both, Behance, helps to showcase what kind of a visual strength you have. How do you put your thoughts? How do you kind of, present your ideas in a visual medium? But medium or blog is more of content heavy when you want to, showcase what all you did in very detailed format. Sometimes, when you're sharing such medium case studies, it becomes slightly, overwhelming for the recruiter to, read the entire document. So you can kind of choose between those, or you can have a couple of good infographics, or some kind of a visual support in your medium documents as well, or you can have your own blog. So when you're trying to document everything in detail, in a very what do I say, in a very insightful or a very resourceful way, I think Medium can also come up as a great case study, because you can write it in detail about how you researched, what was the methodology, what you did, and everything. You can, explain everything in detail on Medium or your blog. Now, Behance becomes a little limitation for two reasons. One is sometimes you have to, you might not be best in visualization. That happens to a lot of people. Uh, so in that case, it becomes, how do I really present my work? Or, it also sometimes take a lot of time to build your presentation. I've seen people who spend a lot and lot of time, creating the same case study over and over. They're working for months on one case study. They haven't been able to find out a layout that works well for them, and so many other questions, right? So you will have to find out what is your strength. Are you somebody who's good with language, or are you somebody who's good with visual design, or what kind of role you're applying for? That also matters. Are you trying to be a UI/UX hybrid designer, a dribble, a visual designer that can showcase work on dribble, or somebody who's more into UX research or user research? And that is why Medium becomes important, so that you can explain in detail your insights, your, everything that you've done. Lastly, coming to personal website, absolutely, personal website is a, great way to start. But there are two things I want to share before we move into case studies. The portfolio, all of these platforms mentioned here are like a folder to your case study. That's like a cover to your case study. And for me personally, you need not spend a lot of time building your personal website until and unless you have enough of case studies. This is almost like you're trying to wrap up an empty box and gift it to somebody. What is in the box is extremely important, and you have to understand that. You have to understand the main material is the case study. Now, either you put that case study, if you don't have time, put it in the PPT, put it on Google Slides, or put it on a Word document, anything, right? But it is extremely important. First and foremost, you must have case studies prepared, and only then move to platforms, or publishing them. Sometimes also you just have like possibly one case study. You're spending months in designing your website. I think it does not make much sense. I would say, at least have a couple of case studies before you move to building your own website and redesigning it. Other thing, for all of these, when you're somebody not into visual design, or your work is not very much into visual design, you need not also redesign everything from scratch. You need not, start redesigning or start building your case study from scratch, starting, from layouting, from branding and colors and everything. You can easily find out some good layouts, or find good references and try to use them as your inspiration. And I think there's nothing wrong with using them as a inspiration. Absolutely not. I'm not saying copy, but I'm saying use them as inspiration. You need not start everything from scratch, because that is going to consume a lot of your time. And you have to think, is the recruiter interested in seeing my PPT presentation or layout of, how I've designed the entire case study, right? Or is that even a part of my job role? Does that even help them? So if you're not much into visual, or your job is not into visual design, do not waste a lot of your time in building the layouts, or designing. Some people even start redesigning the illustrations, the logos. I think that's absolutely not required. Think about what is the recruiter wanting. Think about what profiles are you applying for. Are you applying for an illustrator job? Are you applying for a graphic design role? Or what kind of role you're applying to? Think about that and then build your portfolios and your case studies. So coming to UX case studies, now, overall, when it comes to UX, it's extremely important that we understand that user experience, user is the main, the hero of the entire work here. So we need to make sure that we have enough of information about the user. So lot of people, there are a lot of solutions out there. A lot of people also put what did they finally design, but there is lot of there is a missing piece of information that people want to really see. And when it comes to a format, I would clearly say there is no format on how you can design your UX case study, but there are a couple of important pointers that I will be discussing further so that we know that what all should be put in your case study and how a structured case study can be built. So coming to format, be it case study or a portfolio or anything, there is no particular format that we want to see or any hiring manager wants to see. But overall, they want to see if you understand design thinking process, if you understand end-to-end delivery, or how did you start, how did you end, and all of these things. So there is no particular format. If you think your case study or your portfolio needs to be quirky, if you think it needs to have illustrations, or if you think it needs to be black and white, it's all up to you. Just make sure that it is relatable. Just make sure it is aesthetic in nature, or it has if required, if you think it should look corporate, or it should look professional in nature. So there is no particular format that I would say, but couple of things that we must take care of. So three of the, I would divide my case study, majorly a particular project, into three important sections. First part, the introduction. The last part, the conclusion. Now, introduction needs a couple of details, or the briefing around what are you going to talk about, what is the UX case study about, what is the problem statement, or what domain are you working? Is it a client project, or it's a hypothetical case study that you're working on? Build a little bit, give a little bit of background about your case study. Then comes the center part, which is the entire focus of the project, which is what happened in the project, right? What happened in the project, the entire process. Because when it comes to UX case studies, people don't want to see the final output. They want to see what really happened. How did you twist and turn, and what kind of challenges you came across, how the entire process started from the users, then personas or probably journey maps, what kind of different UX artifacts you worked around, how did you come up with workflows, wireframes, or what all did you do. Everything in the project, whatever you did, the entire process, people want to see your thought process. So all of that section will come under here. And lastly, the conclusion part, where we will be discussing it in more details, and you must put a conclusion of how the entire project, kind of what did you deliver and what were your learnings and everything in detail. So this is majorly how I would, kind of proportionately put it across, that, some part of introduction, little bit of conclusion, and a big focus on what happened in the project. Now, coming to core elements of a case study, which is extremely important in detail. So, what was the project? Um, about a little bit of background, maybe the domain. What is the problem statement, or trying to what were the opportunities? What are you trying to solve? Talk a little bit background about the entire project. Who was it built for? What was the geography? Did you create something for somebody based in San Francisco, or were you creating something for Indian rural, section? What were you, kind of building this entire product for? Because it's extremely important for people to know, UX, the user. Who was the user? Who were you building this for? Because accordingly, the entire scenario and the entire context of the case study will change. Moving on to what was your role in the project. Now, again, going back to the same question, what are you applying for? So accordingly, you'll have to find out a case study that is, appropriate here. So what was your role? Did you do end-to-end delivery? Was it a team project? Were there 5, 6 people, or were there were you a solo designer? What was your role? So you need to write a little bit about what was your role, and what kind of responsibilities were on you. Did you collaborate with project managers? Did you collaborate with technical teams? What was your specific role in the project? Coming to what was the process. Now, because there are a lot of standard processes out there, so you might not always come up and say that, hey, I did double diamond, or hey, I did design thinking process. But people want to understand from the entire double diamond or a design thinking process, how did you adopt that particular process for your project? What did you do? So they want to understand what was the implementation of the all the theory that you've learned. How did you implement it in this project? So what was your process? Now, depending on the project, it might also change. So I like to, say, was research a very important part of the project? Or did you not do any research? Or, did you just do secondary research? Or did you just take information from business analyst, or, somebody, and you started from there? What was the process? What were your milestones? How did you achieve everything? Lastly, coming to outcomes and deliverables. So a lot of people, they miss out on the entire section that was told on the top, and they immediately start on outcomes and deliverables, which is the mock-ups and the UI design. So when I say outcomes and deliverables, it could be anything. It could either be just the wireframes, or it could be a paper prototype, it could be lo-fi, hi-fi, anything, right? Outcomes and deliverables usually is UI design, but you will have to always support it along with your UX processes. So final is outcome and deliverables. Now it's very important that you just don't put your UI designs, just randomly put them up on the screen. If with Figure out what are the important screens, because people don't want to see the entire project. That is absolutely not the goal of your case study. They don't want to see all the 200 screens that you made. They want to see what are the key features, how did you attain that particular workflow, or some of the important workflows, because how did you solve a particular problem. So they want to see what was something unique, something interesting, right? They don't want to see 200 screens that you design. They don't want to see different templates or whatever it is, right? So figure out what is the key offering of the product. What are the key features, or what is the workflow or the problem that you solved, and how did you solve it? You can sometimes, when if you've designed some interesting onboarding screens, or if you've designed something interesting, some illustrations or some micro interactions, you can always put them up, because that also gives a idea that you have good hold on ideation, as well as you have a good hold on tools. So outcomes and deliverables, put them, find out which are the good screens, which are the important screens or the workflows, as well as explain a little bit about them. When you put a screen, write about it, what is important in that particular screen, how did you achieve it, or something, some brief information about it. Apart from that, do not forget to, sometimes it really helps when you put them in the correct mock-up also. you know uh, Use the correct size of the mock-up, or the latest updated mock-ups. There's no point of designing something for iPhone say 13, and putting it in a really old 5 kind of a uh, although they look similar and everything, that is fine. But find out what is the updated mobile version, or something that will look good. Put it in the right mock-up. If you don't need the original mock-ups, or if you don't want to put it on a phone, figure out a good way to represent it, maybe shadows or something like that. Lastly, challenges and learnings. Now, challenges, learnings, what more could you do? All of this comes under the conclusion part, where you really talk about what did you learn from the project, what were the challenges, Sometimes a challenge could be that you had to work in a very large team and there were a lot of mismatch, or there were a lot of back and forth going on, and possibly you learn that how do you manage with so many stakeholders. So you have to figure out a good way to represent, or tell people what were the challenges, what did you learn, both the things. Make sure when you put it across, you put it very positively, because it's important that it shows your learning curve. It is very important that it shows how you've evolved in that particular project. And I think it's extremely important to put this section, because every project teaches you something, but we often forget. Sometimes you're doing a project, you didn't know much about research, but when you worked, you realize that you had an opportunity to do some benchmarking or take some interviews. You learned how to do research, or possibly you didn't know how to do a design system, but then in the project you kind of figured out how to do an auto layout or something like that. It could be anything. So, what were the challenges and what did you learn? Now, these two should also complement each other, right? When I say that I had a challenge working in the team, you should also say that I learned how to work in the team. We collaborated together. We made small feedback loops. We were very iterative in nature. We tried to make sure that we communicated well. What is everybody designing? What are the requirements? We made sure that communication was fast. So you need to make sure these complement each other, so that it really makes an impact on people, that you've evolved in that case study. What more could you do? Again, let us not forget that every project, every case study is a work in progress in itself. So, if I had to say, I always like to emphasize that, big companies or even bigger products like Android, like iOS, every product is evolving in nature. So, all of your case studies are also work in progress, and it's absolutely impossible for you to have a case study that is perfect in nature, where they have everything. So there will be questions that will be put forward to you when you apply for an interview, or when you apply for a job, that why didn't you do this, or why didn't you do that. So instead of covering up your case studies, it would be interesting if you put forward right away that uh, these were the limitations. I had limitations on time and resources or something like that. But if I had like this much of more time, I would have loved to do more interviews, or I would have loved to create more screens, or give my users certain more features. These features also I had thought of. So when you write it down there itself, you are making sure that the interviewer knows that you had thought about it. It was not like you didn't think about it. You did think about it, but of course there are limitations, right? Every project works in certain timelines, in certain parameters, or some limitations. So this should absolutely tell about the future scope and the limitations that you had, so that everybody knows that you had thought about some certain things that you could have added on. So this is overall, I would say, how a case study could be built in multiple pieces, and how important things can be put forward in here. Going back to the process, I think the processes could be different in different projects. You could take different ways to actually implement it. Sometimes you might have just done brainstorming sessions, or a stakeholder workshop, or maybe just benchmarking activity, anything. So you will have to see. I think it becomes interesting when you have adopted different processes for different case studies. Sometimes I tell people that when I look at 5 case studies on your portfolio, all of them, they start from competitive analysis, they just do persona, and then they do iframing, and then UI design. So it just feels like you have very limited knowledge of UX design, because UX design is not just these 4 activities, right? It is not just these 4 tools and techniques. So you might want to think, what more can I add? How do I showcase that I have more capabilities, that I have more knowledge? So it's both the ways. If you're building a hypothetical case study, It really helps to bring variety in your work. And if you're doing a client project, see if you have an opportunity to improvise your processes. This will give you good learning. This will give you ways to experiment your processes, ways to broaden your entire horizon, and so much more. When you're doing it for client projects, sometimes it is also important that you explain what is the context, why does the client want to build this particular thing. If you're moving into product design specific role kind of a thing, or you're trying to watch for a product role or a product company, sometimes having the KPIs, or keep making sure that you also talk about what is the success factor, or how did you do a usability testing, or how do you say that what I have delivered is good in nature, or what I delivered was successful or was helpful for the client. Sometimes that also really helps. So you might want to think about the outcomes and deliverables when you say, how did it really make an impact to the user, or how did it make an impact to the company. So this is overall how I think a good case study can be structured. Moving on to choosing your projects, I wouldn't say much. I would just say, three important things. First is competencies and skills. Identify what is your best skill, and accordingly choose the platforms that we discuss in the initial stages, that what do you want to showcase, what are your best skills, identify them, and accordingly start building your case study. Apart from that, identify what is the organization looking for. If you haven't really decided if you want to go for a UI UX hybrid role, or a UI designer, or UX designer, what are you looking for, putting all types of projects in your case study might not be very helpful. Or at least have a distinction saying that this is my only UI design project. Because if UI design project is on your portfolio and somebody opens it thinking you have applied for a UX design role, they might think that you have no knowledge of UX. They might think that there are directly screens, there is no process, or there's no problem solving that is happening here. So you might have to probably put a tag, or a label or something that defines that, hey, this is only UI design project, so the recruiter knows that what perspective he looks at that particular project from. So match your skills, competencies, the role that you're applying for, all of these to that particular case study. Now, which samples show the most of that skill? As I mentioned, if you're applying for a UI design specific role, then figure out what are the best case studies, or which ones are your best of works for UI design specific roles. Now, best of your works. What differentiates me from other designers? That is something extremely important, and I will also discuss this in detail. Now, because there are so many, courses available online, there are so many academies that are making courses. How do you really differentiate yourself from other people out there, right? How do you really make an impact on the recruiter? So, we'll be discussing more in further. What interesting stories can I tell about the work that I did? Storytelling is again very important. Uh, you know, it's very very important, because how do you weave an entire story, right? When you watch a film, uh, you don't realize that you've spent 3 hours, and sometimes you come home and it was like it was waste of time. I didn't understand anything. Sometimes you're even confused. So. Uh, Weaving an entire story that somebody looks at your project, somebody tries to understand, and even takes an interest is very important. Now, on which projects did I bring the most value, and from which projects did I learn the most? So again, going back to the section where learning and challenges. So sometimes I appeared for an interview once, and the interviewer asked me, which is the worst project that you've done? And I showcased one of the projects. And there were weird questions, put forward to me, but I think that was a very interesting way of interviewing. I was asked, what did you change after this? How did you evolve after this? What do you think, if today I ask you, what will you change in this, in your project? So I had to, kind of explain this entire, that, possibly I think I was a little weak at UI design, and I'm improving on that. I think I chose the wrong font sizes, or something that brings a lot of value or something that has helped you improve on your skills, which is that kind of a project. Lastly, shows work in progress or growth. So both the things, bring, sometimes even putting your older projects help recruiter to analyze that how have you evolved like 5 years back to today, and also work in progress helps to sometimes tell them that, uh, I haven't completed, but if there is a project that you've been working on and has some interesting thing to showcase, but I think it's you need not wait for it to complete. You can also share it when you're in the progress, or um, so that they can understand how you build a project. What is your thought process when you're in the middle of the project, what kind of processes you do. So these are some of the ways you can actually choose your projects, and I would say just having 3 to 5 good case studies should be good enough to start for any newbie or any beginner. uh, you need not, as I mentioned, you need not have 30 projects on your Behance, or you need not have a lot of case studies on your website or something like that, but choose quality over quantity. Quality is extremely important because it's the best of your works and it's not everything that you've done. So don't put everything that you've done. I also see people putting sketches, I see people putting random cartoon pictures. So make sure you know what projects you're putting in and how is it adding value to the job that you're applying to. So a couple of common worries and common questions that I have put forward here. I would like to, kind of wind up the session in the next 10 minutes so that we can open up for any other questions that are up on the comment section, if anything. First and foremost, there are a lot of memes, a lot of jokes that I see coming up around, should I redesign Zomato, Ola, Cred? My question would be why, right? First of all, these companies have good design teams. They're working very iteratively on evolving their products. So, why do you think if you suggest some improvisation, it is going to be very value adding? Secondly, the amount of complexity in these projects, or it's very common to see such kind of projects on Behance. If I just kind of search for a Cred case study, there are going to be like 50 people who must have redesigned Cred already. So you will have to think about why. Why do you want to redesign Cred once again? So think about something that is more value adding, that is more insightful in nature, and that is, you know, that has more complexities where you get to really learn more or, understand more. Secondly, sometimes you're also designing this just because you've been a very frequent user of these applications. So you just become comfortable. But think about it. When you work for a company, you're not going to keep redesigning the same applications that you use. So company wants to see what is your knowledge in other domains. The company wants to see when they have a project, how will you deal with it. So I think constantly redesigning the same projects, or redesigning the same apps that you've been using, uh, it's not insightful. It's a waste of time. How much variety is required in my case studies? Now again, depending on what kind of companies that you're applying for. Maybe if you're into one particular domain, and if you've decided that I want to apply for a fintech product company only, it would be great to have a couple of fintech or a couple of banking related, insurance related projects, so that the company know that you also have knowledge of domain. However, domain expertise is not required. So it is absolutely okay if if you're trying a variety of case studies. I would suggest not to have simple problem statements. I mean, think about something difficult to solve. I mean, what's the fun in solving very simple problem statements? So figure out a challenging problem statement and work on it. Having variety is, I think, moderately important for a lot of reasons. One, you can't keep making all the mobile applications. I mean, if I see five projects on your case on your portfolio and all of them are mobile, but when you really go for an interview, how do you showcase that you have skills in desktop or website also? So if you're applying for a service company or a consulting company, they would like to see variety. So you can try on different domains, different platforms, and a variety is, I think, good because it will also help you have hands-on in different experiences. How can I build my case study with no experience in UX design? So I think all of us are already aware. You can possibly take up a freelance project or take a hypothetical case study, start to build something on your own, or maybe apply for a hackathon. See and figure out ways of how you can. Even if you don't have a real or live project to work on, what are the opportunities? Where can you get good case studies, experiences of good case studies? It could be maybe you do a freelance project that gives you a real life experience dealing with the client and working along with him. But slightly might be a difficult if you really don't have anything in your portfolio. How will you get that, right? So I think hypothetical case study would be the best way to start. But again, solving the same problems or a simple problem statement has really never helped, because we would like to see more challenging things that you can do, something more interesting, more of ideation and so on. But start with your own self, start with something that interests you. If you are somebody who likes to travel, why not think about what kind of problems travelers face, right? Then in that case, you can also get deep down into what kind of travel are we talking? Are we just talking about backpackers, or are we traveling about talking about travelers, family travelers, or are we talking about old age travelers or just commute? What kind of traveling are we talking about? Think about a variety, or think about various ways of problem solving. Where all are the opportunities? Where are the gaps? How do I deal with NDAs? So a lot of people also tell me that I have NDA, so I can't show anything on my portfolio. So that's not true. So you can always, there are ways to put your NDA projects. You can either keep an offline copy of it, make sure that you're not publishing somewhere on a platform, or but maybe have a cover picture saying that this is my NDA project, but I would like to share it offline if you want to, or I can show it, screen share and showcase it to you. Hide the logos, blur the logos, blur or remove the important data. For example, if you're working in a banking sector, why would you like you need not show uh, real time data, or about data about people's um, names or information or bank number, PAN card, all these details. You can put dummy information is there, right? Figure out what all is a confidential information, remove all these information, remove all the names that are not required. You can sometimes also change a little bit of branding so that it helps you, showcase your project easily. Uh, a lot of ways, or sometimes you can also just, instead of showing the entire final output, you just show the process so that it does not hamper anybody. There are ways where you can kind of showcase your NDA projects. So feel free to figure out what is the best way to do it. Just because you are working with a company, you might have kind of work for 3-4 years and then you end up being into an NDA. So don't waste all of that information. There might be some way to showcase it. You can figure that out somehow. Lastly, your case studies become more uh, it is very important that you manage your technical and soft skills together, because even if you have if I had created this entire presentation and I wouldn't have been able to explain it, you wouldn't have found it interesting, or you wouldn't have had the patience to even stay here. So it is very important to communicate, or it is very important that you showcase your soft skills as well in all of your case studies. Plan and present your case studies well, communicate it well, find out projects that also showcase teamwork, so that it doesn't look like you can only work as a king, and you can only work as an individual contributor, but you also have knowledge about how to work along with project managers or technical people. How do you really negotiate with them? How you manage everything. Lastly, I would say planning and management is also important, because you cannot spend your 6 months, 7 months, or you cannot keep spending all of your time in doing one case study. You have to figure out when are you planning to start applying for jobs, or what is the goal of building some case studies, and then you will have to figure out manage your time accordingly so that you are prepared well with your case studies in correct amount of time, and having a set milestone will help you achieve it very well. With this, I would close this session and would open up for any questions that might be on chat. Gunjan, feel free to reach out more.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this amazing and insightful tips and strategies that you shared with us today. Myself being a designer, I will keep your suggestions in my mind going ahead in this field. So, without wasting any time, I would like to go ahead with the question answer round. So, our first question is what was the great thing you learned while interviewing as a designer?
Um, I think I've given a lot of interviews, and it's every interview has taught me something different. I would say sometimes you don't even plan to, you haven't even planned about a certain question in your mind about a case study, and that comes up. So you have to be very spontaneous, and you have to learn how to not be defensive, but showcase your interviewer or the recruiter how to so that they have confidence in you. You need to make sure that you have the spontaneity, that I have some knowledge. I think that has been my biggest learning. You need to make sure that whatever you have learned, you put it across in a way that it really helps add value to them.
Okay. Moving to the next question. It says, let's say you have an amazing idea and you have built your case study around it. Now, which part of the case study will you sell your idea and the most, which is the most quickest? Example for the you. What? Now, which part of the case study will sell your idea the most and the quickest? Say the most important part of your idea, I guess, of
I
your
would
UI
say,
design.
if I had to sell it, right, there's nothing that can sell well as a UI. Okay, because UI is kind of, in a way, you're showcasing the entire problem and how did you solve it, right? It is the offering that you're giving to the user and how important it is. A lot of times, there have been so many studies talking about how aesthetics are very important, and usability is absolutely important, but aesthetics are equally important, and they tell or they talk about um, how you have solved a particular problem. So UI will be able to give a good idea about what the final output is, how did you solve it, or I think UI will be able to tell the entire story, right? So I would say I would sell my UI design, because that in in very short period of time can explain whatever I have done for the user.
Okay. And moving to the next question, it says, what is your approach to making a website and platform accessible to all the user groups, which includes users with visual and hearing and motor disabilities?
The key to doing an accessible platform, I would say, is alt text, because something that is extremely important is converting the entire image to textual content, and that is, I think, that would be one of my most important areas, because apart from that, I think everybody now knows about how we should have readable content and color codes and everything, but alt text is still something that is missing in most of the case studies, websites, and all of these, right? So when you post a Behance picture, or even on your website, if you put a picture and the picture does not really describe everything in alt, how will somebody using an assistive technology understand? So I think alt text would be my biggest win on that.
Okay. There's one problem everybody mostly face. Like I did an internship somewhere, and I cannot show their work on Behance, right? Due to some privacy issues and all. So what works I have to showcase on my Behance profile.
So as I mentioned, there are a lot of ways where you can. Sorry.
Maybe I have to create something myself for a dummy project.
Yeah, so what I would suggest, maybe have an offline copy of it, right? On Behance, you can possibly just have a couple of things, maybe a cover picture, or some processes, some personas, or a little bit of ideation, something like that, or maybe a work in progress, right? Maybe a brainstorming activity, something that just gives makes a little bit of background about your project. And then you can write about it that it's a NDA project, and I can share the details with you offline, or any other way. The other way to actually, I would say, the other way you could eventually do it is make a couple of changes to the overall project, so that it doesn't look identical to the original project, right? And then you can use it with a different branding, without the logos or the client information, without the client names. I think that should absolutely be okay.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next question. So, how do you see the future as a designer? Like, what are the upcoming opportunities for us? You see.
I think for me, a design role, there are two views on this. Either you become a specialized person, specialize into one of the roles, like a researcher, or somebody who's more into UI, somebody who's into micro interaction, something, a specialist, or a generalist. When it comes to generalists, I think a lot of roles are also opening up for generalists, so that people who understand business, people who understand technology, and people who understand design, one person who can handle all of these, and then they can deliver a product that is very impactful, because that also creates a very different kind of an experience, working in silos with people from marketing, from sales, and then being a designer who has no knowledge of how technology or how business works, is has been quite, I would say, disadvantageful for the entire industry for a very long time. So a lot of generalist roles are also coming up, and I think that would also be a future. That could also be a future of design.
Okay. So, I would like to know more about you. So, you told about designing a case study. So, as a beginner, while building a case study, what all challenges you face and how you encountered them?
The biggest challenge I talked about, is planning. um, and I think that has happened with everybody. You start a project, and then you start getting into something else. एग्जाम्स आ गई, या कुछ और काम में आ गए, या ऑफिस के काम में लग गए. So a lot of times, even if you have a project, or even if you have everything prepared, you want to document your last project, but you have office things lined up, or you have college things lined up, and such other things, so you miss out on that. So I think religiously you will have to plan your entire case study, so that you don't forget all the important details, and you document it timely. That is very, very important, because you might kind of forget about all the nitty gritties. You might not have documented here and there, but some of the important points maybe you had to note it down, or you wanted to showcase in your case study. So I would say, plan it well, and timely make sure you document all of your processes and all of your work.
Okay. We have another question. If you are working in a team and all are looking to solve a certain problem, but you got the solution and you need to converse or express your idea to your team, you cannot show the final UI result. What will you do?
First of all, I would say, if let us try to understand where is the entire team in the entire process. Sometimes we start feeling that the project has just started, and we start to think about what is the solution. And you might feel, why are they kind of discussing so much? I know that this is going to work like this, and this is the best idea. But you have to be open to understanding what are other ideas that are flowing from other people, right? One is this. But if you think you have really cracked something, and if you want to showcase your idea, I think best way is to do either paper prototype or whiteboarding activity, because whiteboarding, along with the entire team, is a very interesting thing to do. Everybody might have some ideas, and then you can make very quick iterative processes. You can, in fact, you can iterate your own idea into multiple ways, right? You probably thought that this screen would come, and then while whiteboarding, you realize that this screen can be probably broken down into multiple steps, something like that. I think whiteboarding is a very easy way to showcase that. Other would be, I would say, if it's only the conceptualization phase, how about doing some ideation activities, maybe mind mapping, brainstorming, something that gives people quick idea about what is your solution, right? Because explaining them in a very long sentence, or trying to figure out the final output and then showing to them is also, again, you don't know if they would like it or not. So why not do a brief way to showcase your final solution, and then you move it into UI design phase.
Got it. So, thank you so much, Garima ma'am, for joining us today and sharing your precious time and knowledge with us to help us learn and understand more about the topic. We look forward to host you again in our future sessions. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining
Thank
us.
you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Gunjan.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today and making our evening more memorable one. To move ahead with this session, today's event, I would like to call upon Snigdha.
Thank you, Gunjan. So let's start by welcoming. Welcome everyone to the Design Development Days 2022. I am Sindha Markanle, your host for this session. Thank you so much for joining this event. So before moving ahead, I just want my audience to know that what they are expected from Design Development Week 2022. Okay. Before starting today's event, I would like to brief the designer and BD to the ones who are here. Designer is a community platform which emphasizes building the best to the creative minds together to make the design enthusiastic acumen together. Our vision and mission to upskill the design personnel by helping them to learn and relearn this from scratch, to go about the right path to provide the effectiveness of the vision. We emphasize the designers and plan our resources accordingly. Designer development days bring forth events, workshops, and competitions which will be fruitful for both designers as well as developers with a fair key, learning the new smartest things. The initiative by designer has all the greatest perks for the beginners as well as those who are skilled. In this session, we are welcoming Sushree Swagatika to help us understand more about branding the digital world. Sushree presently heads the marketing efforts at Divami Design Lab, a leading UX/UI design agency based in Hyderabad. She completed her master's in journalism and mass communication. She started her career with content and shaped her to be the T-shaped marketer over the years. She is great believer in the power of branding. She has set up the brand voice for multiple B2B product and service companies. Welcome, Sushree, to the Design Development Days by the designer. The stage is all yours now.
Hi, Snigdha. Thanks for the welcome. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Nandini has mentioned that we are not audible, so I'm just asking. Okay, so this platform is a little new, so I'm just getting acquainted. Give me a second. I want to see how I can do the share. Okay, I had slides, but I don't know how to show that. Okay, okay. So, as Snigdha said, I work with a company called as Divami Design Labs, which is a UX UI agency based in Hyderabad. And uh, as UX UI, I work very closely with designers, and I have seen them define the brand voice of companies, like define the logos and everything. So when they do that, one thing that they can do and they are good at is, creating the logo or defining the colors. But the actual branding, the actual brand voice has to come from the founders, or from the core team of the client that you are working with. So having said that, a lot of people don't understand it. Still, in people's mind, branding is all about, a logo or a color. Like this, let's say, if I say Coca-Cola brand, immediately your mind goes to the logo, but you don't think about the other things associated with the brand. So I hope this session will help you have a little bit more understanding of what branding is, and as designers, how you are supposed to deal with branding. So, uh, Snigdha, I can't share my screen. I don't know what is happening. It's not allowing me to.
Now,
Snigdha, I can't share my screen. I don't know why it's not allowing me to.
just a minute, ma'am. My technical team is resolving the issue.
Okay, sure. So in the meantime, I'll get started. Just let me know if you figure out what the issue is. So setting up the agenda of of the next 1 hour that we are going to have together is we'll talk about three things: what is branding, why is branding necessary, and how to do branding. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat. As I can't share the slides, I would rather prefer that if you can ask questions and leave your comments as and when you get them. So, as I said, branding is little more than just a name or a logo or a product, as an individual thing. It's an idea or a feeling or a position that exists in the mind of your audience. So, then it comes to the question, why is it important? It is important because people don't buy from faceless buildings. You are not dealing with, as companies, you are not dealing with people as a building or an office or a headquarter. You are dealing with them on a facial basis, like as we create personas in our designs, similar to marketing also, we create our personas. So as we create personas and we target a particular set of audience, so definitely we need to make sure that whatever messaging that we're putting out also resonates with that audience. So I love a quote when it comes to branding, that is by Jeff Bezos. Your brand is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. So it kind of applies both to the uh, products or platforms. It also applies to you as a person. So once you're leaving the building, if there's a bunch of people, once they leave, once you leave the room, what they say about is what exactly the branding is. Like, let's say you are a very timid, shy person, so once you leave the room, obviously there will be one or two people who will say that, okay, that person is very shy, so then your branding is shy. But when we think about so that I spoke about from a personal or from a person perspective, but let's say we move to a brand perspective or a product perspective. Think about Nike, think about Coca-Cola, think about Disney. So when you think about Nike, your head immediately goes to uh, sportsman, immediately goes to Roger Federer or XYZ or whoever your favorite sportsman is. Similarly, when you think about Coke, your head immediately goes to a moment of shared happiness with your friends, or maybe you had a pizza party or something like that. Similarly, if you think about Disney, your movement, your thoughts immediately go to happy memories, childhood cartoons or something like that. So here, even the brand of Disney, the brand of Nike, the brand of Coke is much more than just their logo. It's the feelings that you are associating with them whenever you are thinking about it. So earlier, so now we live in a digital age. We are very much acquainted with social media. We are online almost 24/7. But earlier it was never like that. Like 30 years ago, or when I was a kid, if I remember, there was only TV or radio or newspaper. So whenever it came to branding, the messaging used to be very one way. Like if they wanted to say something, let's say Nike wanted to say something, Nike had to just put an ad and say that just do it or buy the shoe or whatever. But with the changing ecosystem of consumer behavior, where people are very vocal about it, if they don't like something, they go ahead and they leave a comment. They, they tweet at the company and all those things. Branding is what helps you kind of define the service or the aura you want to maintain in the market. So earlier, when it came to brand definition, we could define brands as the promotion of a particular product or company by means of advertising, or that advertising can be anything. It can be a TV ad, a radio jingle, or a an outdoor ad. So that time, when it came to those kind of traditional ads and traditional messaging, the target was always visual. You always wanted to appeal to the eyes of the of your customers. So that means you, when I say you, I mean brands or companies, put a lot of focus on colors, fonts, logos, and all those things. But when it came to digital age, as I said, that the customer is very vocal right now. The communication is not unidirectional; it's very multidirectional right now. Like immediately you have a complaint, you will go and leave it, tweet it to Nike, or probably leave a bad review somewhere. Those kind of things you have access to, which earlier audience didn't used to have. So obviously that branding of how you deal with your customers, how you deal with the negative response that you are getting, is also a big part of your branding. So digital branding is what we call. So digital branding consists of two things, that's like digital marketing and internet branding. And in that, as a superset of all these, also exist those kind of ads and other things that you do to appeal to your consumers. So now I would like to take a moment and talk about the difference between traditional and digital branding. Like why is it so important right now? So earlier, as I said, traditional branding used to be non-transparent. Like they discussed that they want to show something and they showed it and the consumer consumed it. And like let's say they showed Amir Khan in Coca-Cola's ad, all the Amir Khan fans went and bought Coca-Cola and drank it. But right now it's not like that. Even though Amir Khan says the Coca-Cola is good, there will be people who will be like, oh, it has too much sugar, it has this, it has that, so we shouldn't have it. So that's why traditional branding used to be a non-transparent, because you could only see the company's point of view. You are never seeing the audience's point of view. But right now digital branding is very transparent. So earlier traditional branding used to have a professional voice. Like it was a very formal conversation between a company and its audience. But right now, as it's a multi-way communication, the voice has changed to little less, how should I put it, casual, may I say. So that's the basic difference. Earlier traditional branding used to be a big corporates game. Only Coke, Nike, Google, Apple, those kind of big corporates used to do this. But right now digital branding is for everyone. Right now everyone wants to have, be it a small business or a big business, everyone has a website, everyone is selling their product on online, or all those sort of stuff are happening. So that means that digital branding also needs to evolve with the ages and with the business channels that companies are taking to sell their product. Uh, so earlier, similarly, traditional branding was only about reach and frequency. So that's why, if you remember 30 years ago, the prime time slots of 9 to 7 to 10 p.m., only big brands ads used to come. But right now, no one literally watches TV anymore. You are online all the time and you are watching everything on YouTube or Netflix or whatever. So when you go to YouTube, even a small brand can show their ads in YouTube. So that kind of transparency was not earlier. It has only happened in the last 10 years or so. So then it comes to the next important question: why branding is important? Someone could argue saying that, okay, I gave example of Coke and so on. So Coke and so on, they already have a standing, so they don't need branding anymore. But that's wrong. Earlier, purchase behavior used to be like, okay, as I said, someone saw Amir Khan in an ad, and then they went and bought that Coke and drank, and that was about it. But right now, with everyone doing everything on an online platform, people are more likely to say, okay, there is sugar content, don't have it, and all that. So that's a Coke has to come up with a healthy variant, and those kind of things will only happen because that they have this branding value associated with it. They can't just be like, appeal to one set of audience who are not like so health conscious, and should not appeal to one set of audience who are very health conscious, or who go to gym daily, or who count their calories and all those type of stuff. So that's why branding is important, because you want to appeal to everyone. And also, decision making earlier used to be unidirectional, and right now everything is happening at one time. Like, probably you are showing an ad, say at the same time your Instagram team is showing up some affiliate marketing they're doing related to your product, and so on. So how do you make sure that the branding is same? What offerings you are offering at one platform, at Amazon per se, that same offering is being carried out at your stores, at your website, and at all the other channels that you are, as we call it in marketing, touch points that you are touching your audiences at. Okay, I'm taking a pause just because I want to see if there is any questions or anything. Okay, moving on. Similarly, earlier, if someone bought something, like let's say someone bought a Nike shoe, if they didn't like it, or like it got torn within 6 months, there was no way for them to go ahead and complain. But right now, they can, as I said, they can tweet about it. And when they tweet, at least 100 other people will see it. And once those 100 other people form a negative impression about your brand, that is Nike in this case, it is very difficult to change that impression in their mind. That's why we say first impression is the last impression, right? So whatever you do, you never want the customers to think bad of you. So that's why branding is important. Again, I'm taking a pause because I want to see if anyone has any questions. And also, I'm trying to share my screen. Uh, uh, okay. So, Snigdha, I tried.
Yeah, hi, ma'am.
Hi, it's not.
Sorry for the interruption, ma'am.
It's not
Uh,
allowing me. Like, I'm doing share, but
yes,
then it's
ma'am.
asking me for slides. I'm clicking Google Slides, but it's not like taking. I
Uh,
also
okay, ma'am. So you can choose that share screen option, that the separate option share screen.
no. When I'm clicking on it, it's saying that we cannot share your screen right now. It's fine, it's
Okay.
fine. I'll go ahead. Probably later
Okay.
I can share the deck with you, so you can share with anyone who is interested.
Okay, sure, ma'am. Thank you.
No issue. So again, then coming to, as we so far we talked about only traditional branding and how why branding is important and so on. So let's move on to how branding is done in the digital age. So as I said, as designers, you are going to work with clients who will uh, ask you to define their brand voice. Probably you're designing an application where you need to showcase their branding. You need to carry it forward. So how do you do that? How do you make sure that the branding is proper? The the client or the brand that you're working for actually stands out from the rest. So I have some tips. We'll focus on those. So how you define branding is very important. So for that, it's very important that you differentiate from the competitor. So how will you differentiate from the competitor? As the designers, I don't think you will have clear understanding of their market. Probably you have done your user research and market research, but I don't think that would give you the overall idea of how to do stuff. So it's always better to sit with the founders or the core team to understand what is the differentiating factor. Coming to the next point, you have to be authentic. There would be times where there would be literally no differentiating factors. Like, let's say, a flower shop has come to you and they want to set up something similar to ferns and petals, and they don't have any differentiating factors. But for at that time, it is very important to be authentic. Like, uh, don't make false claims saying that you can do this, you can do that. It's very important that you stick to your brand promise, because you have to live up to it. Because customers will come back and ask you, and they have many channels they can come back and ask you again. You Coming to the third point, it is very important to connect emotionally. It kind of connects to the earlier point I made, that consumers are not buying from faceless businesses, they are buying from people who have emotions. So obviously they want you to showcase those emotions and connect with them. So that is very important. Similarly, it is very important to be consistent. Simply put, if you are designing an application that has like 40 screens, you can't just go ahead and use separate different stylings on each pages, right? You need to have that. If there is a header, that header needs to come properly. If there is the hamburger menu, that menu needs to be proper everywhere. So those are the kind of things that you have to make sure is there in your applications. And on a broader sense, you also have to make sure, companies also have to make sure that the messaging that they are putting, the service that they are offering is same across all the channels. Then, very important point, understanding the audience. Without understanding the audience, nothing works. Nothing. You can't design an app without understanding your audience. You can't design a marketing strategy without understanding your audience. Neither can you define your branding without understanding your audience. You need to understand what does your audience require. Like Nike very clearly knows that they want to be an aspirational brand. They want the target customers to aspire to be the person whomsoever they are showing in their ads. So that's why they are not, if you go and see their ads, they do not sell their shoes. They sell aspirations, they sell health, they sell the thing that, okay, you don't have to be a couch potato, you can move and you can be healthy, you can achieve whatever your dreams are. Next point, you have to think digital and have a mobile first approach. If you are a brand, let's say you are sending an email, or showing an Instagram ad, or asking an Instagram influencer to showcase your product, 90% of whatever you do marketing activities, your audience will consume them through their phone. So it's very important that you have that mobile first approach carried throughout your app, your marketing, or whatever. For example, the way you design a screen for a desktop is not same as you how you like. You don't just squeeze it and fit it into a mobile screen, right? So for a mobile screen, the app, the wireframes change, the flows change, and everything changes. It's very similar to how branding is also. What you do in a desktop scenario, you just cannot emulate it in a mobile scenario and expect it to work. It won't. So that is very important that you have to be careful. Right now, 2022, this year is set to be the year of personalization. No one wants to be doing anything if there is that personalized touch is missing. Like, as soon as you log into a something and you go to the customer service chat, like let's say you ordered something from Zomato, as soon as you go to their customer service thing, you expect the customer service bot to say hi XYZ, like whatever your name is. So that kind of small personalization is very important. So you should make sure that those kind of things are also reflected in your app. So that's why, like when you're designing something, as soon as the first screen is there, it should say hi this, or hi XYZ, you left here, please proceed. Like how we get once you log into some e-commerce apps and then you log out once, next time when you log in, they show that you left your shopping cart in middle, please continue shopping. those kind of personalizations customers expect, and that is what you should give them, and that is how you should define your branding, that wherever the touch points are, wherever the customers are getting in touch with you, that personalization should never be missing. Okay, I'm taking pauses because I am expecting questions. Okay, moving on. As I said, coming back to my previous point, people have many channels where they can go and complain. So it's very important from a branding perspective to define how you listen and respond. So there are some companies, like, I'm sure many of you order from Zomato and Swiggy. Each time you go and complain, they either give you a coupon, or they either give you the refund, or something like that. Similarly, if you go to e-commerce platforms, next time you should try this. And I'm saying this because I have seen this. The way Amazon customer care deals with you is very different from how Myntra or Flipkart customer care deals with you, because it's all in their brand voice, it's all in their core thing. So that is very important for you to define and make sure that it is emulated throughout. So having said this, I presume that a lot of people here would be thinking that branding is similar to marketing. It's not. Branding is all about the touch points that you create with the customers. So that means you are not the only person, the marketing team is not the only team that is only creating the touch points. When it comes to a complaint, customer service team is involved. When it comes to selling something, the sales team is involved, and so on. So that's why it's very important to kind of make sure that branding doesn't come into only marketing team's purview. It's a collaborative effort. Okay, moving on. So then some there are then the obvious next question is, how do you define your branding? Then how do you make sure that it is happening? So right, earlier I talked in a very theoretical sense. Right now I want to focus on examples and so on. So it's very important to know your audience, right? That is something that I spoke about earlier. So how do you know your audience? Like, I'm sure you you must be using Grammarly, right? It's a very popular writing assistant add-on right now. So it's started back in 2002 as a plagiarism tool, and it was only targeted towards universities. So when they started in 2002, and as they only targeted universities, by 2007 they have expanded to 800 universities. But in 2010 only, they only realized that this has a scope for further growth. They realized that there are many industries and many professionals where people write on a daily basis and need help. So that's when they release their product through to the entire world. They invented the concept of freemium business, where like you sign up and you use the platform, and then if you are happy, then there is the option for you to go premium. Otherwise you can continue with the freemium option as long as you want. So that is what you need to define. Like when you're starting out, you shouldn't say like, okay, let's say I am a flower shop. I shouldn't say that, okay, anyone who buys flower is my target audience. That approach is wrong. Probably you need to say, okay, my target audience is housewives who like to decorate their houses with flowers. So then you start defining your voice, your branding, everything around them. You, even if you show ads, you show during that time when they are free, like afternoon time, when no one is at the home, they are probably scrolling through Facebook or so on. So that is very important. And then if your business is scaling up, then you include other customers into your business as well. Moving on, I talked something about brand positioning. So brand positioning, why do you need to position yourself? So this is in line to what I spoke about earlier, like defining differentiating, or defining your niche. So it is important uh, uh, because there is no way for you to pull customers towards yourself if you don't define your brand positioning. I'm sure all of you use Uber. So Uber is an alternate to taxi service. If they didn't put that unique brand positioning, like, okay, you don't need to walk into a chalk or a busy street and hail for a taxi. You can just book from your phone, from the comfort of your office, your home, or whenever you are ready. It's not like that you have to count the time that, okay, I need to walk to that thing, that chalk, and then pull get a taxi. You just do it from the comfort of your home. So that was their unique positioning. If they didn't define that, they would not have been able to revolutionize the world. Again, I'm pausing because I'm expecting a few questions. Okay, moving on. So when it comes to branding, something that is very important is name, right? So big brands, small brands, and everything has to have a very easy name, like something that can be said very quickly or very effortlessly by their target audience. Like, let's say I am a target audience for a flower company, and if the name it as Tulip, it's easy for me to say Tulip rather than say something that has like XY, 7 X's and 10 Z's. I just can't pronounce it, and if I can't pronounce it, then I would obviously never go back to it, because right now I want that personalization. So whenever I'm speaking to my mom or my friends, I need to say that, okay, I bought flowers from this shop, Tulips. If the name is very difficult, then I'm not going to like talk about it, or I'm not going to form that emotional bond with it. Similarly, that's why you see all the big brands like Apple, it's so easy. Google, it's so easy. Nike, it's so easy. Earlier, there is an interesting story. Amazon, we know that with the A to Z logo, it is very important, and they show that, okay, with the A to Z arrow thing, they're showing that, okay, from A to Z, everything is available in Amazon. Also, the another name behind Amazon is the Amazon forest, where which is where life is considered to have evolution should have happened. That is like conceptualized by scientists. But earlier, initially, they wanted to name the company as Cadabra, like abracadabra to Cadabra. But then Jeff Bezos were advised against this, because Cadabra sounds a lot like cadaver, the dead body. So that's why they didn't go with that approach, and they went with something much much more simpler, Amazon. Similarly, Google, I'm sure all of you know, is brought from Gogol, the the number Gogol. So Gogol is very easy for us to say, for Indians and Southeast Asians to say, but when it comes to European and US people, it becomes very difficult to say. So that's why they kind of converted from Gogol to Google, so that it becomes easier for all of their target audiences to speak about the brand. Similarly, color palette. Now this is very very important. I'm sure all of you know about color theories, right? Like whenever there is a food brand, like let's say KFC, they use yellow or reds because it incites hunger. When it comes to any kind of meditation apps, it's always subtle aqua, subtle blue, and all that. When it comes to social media or any other platform where you want your audience to spend a lot of time, you generally go with white and blue, because it's soothing to the eye, and it's also accessible to a wider audience. So those kind of theories should also play an important role when you are defining the brand color or the logo or whatever. So that is also very important, to go up with a come up with a color palette that that the brand can use at different stages. Similarly, and most important, user experience. So when I say user experience, I do not imply the experience one has while dealing with the app or interacting with the website. User experience is much more than that. User experience, it should be the best when it comes to any touch point that you are interacting with the customer. So that means the ads, that means the emails that you send, that means your logo, and that means everything. So that is very important, that your user experience is very 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 in line with whatever your values or your company's offerings are. Like let's say Amazon, uh, uh, Amazon promises me excellent customer services. So that means I expect the excellent customer service, no matter the person, the customer care executive is talking to me or emailing me, or the Amazon bot is chatting with me. So that is very important, that you ensure that the user experience is not only good in the app or in the website, but it also carries throughout your messaging and all your touch points that the consumer is interacting with. Okay, so I guess so. That's it from me. I promised them that I would take half an hour, and I want to wrap on time. So just to summarize, we talked about three things: what, how, and why. What is branding? It's obviously how your customers identify with you. How to do branding? Again, there is no like book that you can follow through, or there is no cheat sheet that you can follow through. It has to come through the founders, the core team members, and then it carries forward. And it inculcates your customers, your stakeholders, your employees, and everything. And then coming to the all important question of why should you do branding? Because again, you want customers, and customers can only come to you if they identify you, if they relate to you, and if they want to buy from you. So for that, branding is absolutely very important. Hey Snigdha.
Hello, ma'am. Now we have some moving on to the questionnaire round. There's a question. What is the difference between direct marketing and branding?
Can you repeat?
What is the difference between direct marketing and branding?
Okay, so yeah, I touched upon it for a brief, but I knew that this would come up. So So let me put it this way: marketing is something that the marketing department is supposed to do, but branding is not on the uh, purview of only the marketing team. As I said, marketing is only like you're selling something, you're bringing customers, but branding is what is defined at all the touch points that you're interacting with your customers. So when it comes to branding, it is like marketing is a segment of branding, but branding is like a much more broader and umbrella term, where all the departments, sales department, operations department, design department, development department, customer service department, and of course the marketing department is involved. Like if I'm marketing as a company, probably I would shoot an email once a quarter or once a week saying that buy my stuff and all that. But when it comes to branding, it is also very important to make sure that, let's say, the co-founders or the CEOs of the companies are not being insensitive to something that is happening in the world. Like marketing's, I'll give a very burning example. Like marketing's teams job is to send out an email saying to its Ukrainian customers, saying that okay, we feel you, we understand that you have this major war blowing up, and if you want to let's say don't not pay for a service or something, we understand, we're giving you that 3 months or so. But at that time, if the company CEO is going and writing all this stuff, or liking LinkedIn post where they're saying that Ukraine war is fair, or Ukraine war should happen, Ukraine is a part of Russia, so there the purview of branding comes. Mike, as a company, I'm saying that okay, Ukraine war is bad, but as a person perspective, if some leadership team, someone is saying that it is good, so that is where marketing team will not go and tell that okay, CEO, why are you doing this? That is the branding department's job, or the branding When I say department, there is not a department called branding who takes care of all this, but that is the brand voice is defined. Then someone will go and tell the CEO, okay, why are you writing this? This doesn't align with our brand voice. This is not what we are. We are a company who believes in non-violence, so you just can't go and write about those stuff. So that is the subtle difference. So just to summarize, marketing is a subset of branding. Branding is a much more broader umbrella term that covers a lot of other things as well.
Moving on to the next question. How can we use social media for marketing and branding?
Okay, that's a very good question actually. So again, I'll take Ukraine example because I feel like that will be very relatable because that is something that is happening. So I don't remember which company did it, but this was the latest thing that I was reading somewhere in one of the HubSpot blogs, I guess. So there is a company who are based in Israel, and they are pro, they're like against war. They're saying that okay, Ukrainian war is bad and all that. So what they're doing is but again, even though there is a war, business should go as usual, right? So they're also doing a lot of affiliate marketing, or influencer marketing. So influencer marketing is basically when an influencer with like thousands of followers like kind of advertises your product, saying that okay, I use this is good and all that. So what they did is, in terms of social media, in their Instagram handles, they are putting saying that okay, war is bad, we stand with Ukraine and all that. But when it comes to influencer marketing, the influencers that they are kind of collaborating with, they are based out of Russia, who are saying that okay, war is good, Ukraine is part of us. So that's how they are dealing with their social media in terms of branding and marketing. So as I said, again, it comes to the core of the message. Marketing is what you are doing to sell to the audience, to sell to your customer, maybe once or twice or thrice max. But branding is how you are making your customers imagine you to be. Like, let's say, Amul has this all these small cartoons that they show up regarding everything, right? Whatever is happening in India, they will show you one cartoon. So that is their brand voice, that they want to say that they are on the top of the things that are happening, and they want to appeal to everyone. But in those posts, they never sell that go buy Amul cheese, right? For that, they have something else. They have ads where they say that okay, go buy Amul cheese. So that is how you differentiate. And if you go to Amul's Instagram page right now, I'm sure you will definitely recognize which post is marketing related, which post is branding related. Branding related posts would never talk about buying some things, because branding doesn't deal with one time transactions. Branding is more like behavioral. They want to create one image in customers mind. So that's why they never sell products directly. It's more about experience and making sure that whatever the customer wants, the brand voice actually reflects that.
And now the next question is how colors are important in branding.
Sorry, Snigdha.
How colors are important in branding.
Oh, okay. So as I said, right, like if there is a food fast food chain coming up, I don't think anyone will go with blue when it comes to fast food. They will either go with red and blue. There is a psychology, color psychology at play, that McDonald's, KFC, and everyone is going in that blue, yellow and red thing. No one is going with blue. And when it comes to social media, let's say there is a competitor of Twitter coming up. I don't think there is any way they will go with yellow or red, because in social media the theory is you want them to spend some more time, right? So that's why you go with the color that is neutralizing to your eyes, and that doesn't hurt your eyes. I can't look at yellow and red for a stretched amount of time, but I can look at white and blue for a stretched amount of time. Similarly, depending on what you are trying to do, what your brand voice is, what you are trying to sell, or what kind of experience you are trying to create, your color palette needs to change. Like, let's say, for an example, let's say Nike goes with this white, black, and all that branding because it can be easily adapted to anything. The black tick mark can be easily adapted to anything. Similarly, Audi is going with that silver rounds because it can be easily adapted to anything. But when it comes to, let's say, I'm just trying to think of a, like, jarring logo so that everyone could relate. Um,
McD's,
Sorry,
McD's logo,
sorry, Singna, I can't hear you.
McDonald's logo.
Yeah, that won't, like, you just can't take it and put it in anywhere. It will, like, it will be very jarring to you because they don't want to they don't want to, like, merge into the background. They want to create their standing. So that is how you define. Again, it all comes to what you are trying to achieve as a company, as a brand, and based on that you also need to define who our audience is. Like for a kids thing, for a kids app, you are never going to go with a very color that will hurt their eyes, right? You will go with something that is very soothing and all that, because your audience is kids. You want them to look at you, you want them to be attracted to you. So those kind of things you need to be considered when it comes to branding, and that's how color theory plays an important role. Again, I am not an expert in color theory because I am a marketer, but yeah.
My next question is, what is the Divami Design Lab and what is it doing for youth and future?
What is your, I couldn't hear the last part of your question. Snigdha, Prashant, are you there?
Yeah, ma'am, my question is, what is Divami Design Lab and what is it doing for youth and future?
Okay, so Divami Design Lab is a UX UI design agency, and we also do design led development. So I would say that we are a UX UI design and development agency. We are based in Hyderabad, but we have offices in Bangalore and US as well. And our clientele is very broad. Like we have clients ranging across the world, and we rank amongst the top UX UI players in the world. And we mostly deal with B2B companies, so SaaS, tech software, and all those companies that are B2B. We do not necessarily work with a lot of B2C clients. And it's coming to what is the future looking like. The future is good. We are trying to gain more market share and gain more gain more let me put it this way, we are trying to create our own branding. Like we have been we are a company which was established in 2008, so it has already been like 13 years. But in terms of branding, we're still trying to figure it out, because branding is not something that you define one time and it stops, right? You have to evolve as your audience is evolving. As I said, we are trying to expand, and we are trying to gain more global share. So we want more clients, obviously. So that means that also we want to define and refine our voice so that we appeal to the masses and appeal to the our target customers properly.
Okay, ma'am. Please share any inspirational story of being a marketing manager at Divami Design Labs.
Yeah, okay, so this is like as I spoke, the we have been working for like 13 years now. But this is a problem that I'm sure as designers you move ahead in the world, and as you work with clients you'll figure out that people always think that marketing and branding is secondary. No one takes thinks that it is the primary thing, and it dedicates resources to it from the start, from the day one. Everyone wants to hire a let's say a technical specialist, or all those things. But marketing and branding, everyone is like, okay, paisa hoga to dekhenge, we'll think about it when the money comes, because everyone thinks that that's secondary. So that is a similar, that was a similar case to Divami as well. They were not doing marketing or any specific branding activity for a quite a while now, but from for the past 3 to 4 years they have been, they also realized the importance that okay, we need to differentiate ourselves, we need to stand amongst the crowds. Business is coming, but if we want to grow, it is very important that we create our own identity. So initially when I came to Divami, I thought that okay, this company is old, so it would not be difficult to uh, do things, because everything will already have been a process and I just need to execute it. But that was not the case. Everything needed to be from the scratch, and I had to, that's why I worked very closely with the design team, and that's why I got to know about color theory and user research and user experience and all those things. It has been a fun experience, and I must say I'm learning daily, because each day there is a new client, and with new clients there are new learnings. And whenever they get a new learning, as I work really closely with them, I also get to share the experience. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Sushree ma'am, for giving your prestigious time to us and helping us to learn and understand about the topic and for answering our questions. We are looking forward to the to host your again.
Yes, and I would request all the
Okay, and
participants, if
thank
you
you
have any.
everyone for joining our session today.
Thanks, Snigdha. I think the internet is acting up. You were stuck for quite a while. So I request, if anyone has any questions, please reach out to Snigdha and the organizations. They'll probably get back to me, and I can help you with that. You can also connect to me with on LinkedIn, and I would be happy to, uh, you know, uh, uh, have a talk, or you probably, if you want a consultation or anything, I would be happy to do that. Thank you. Thanks, Nigda.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much everyone for joining us today and making the time from the busy schedule. And we are happy to see you again.
Yeah.
Stay
Bye.
tuned and stay safe. Hello, Gunjan. Over to you again.
Hello everyone, hope I'm audible to you all. You all can just let me know in the chat box if I'm audible to you all or not. Okay. Till the time we start with our next event, you all may take a time of or a 5 minutes break to refresh yourself so that we can get ahead with our next session. As mentioned in our schedule, our next upcoming event is hosted by Raahee, and I, on behalf of Raahee and designer team, will be hosting your next session. For this session, we have a surprise speaker, Payal Saha, with us. She is a highly competent woman, a value driven, and a seasoned management professional who have over a 13 years of insightful experience. And she extends her expertise majorly in sales and distribution, marketing communication, internal communication, retail management, branding, promotional and media management, business communication, and much more. She has worked as a state head in Xiaomi technology. Uh, Ma'am, I would like you to join with us. Till the time ma'am is joining, I would like to tell you about Rahi. So Rahi connects you with professionals like psychologists and counselors through the Rahi app. They also conduct workshops based on the principles of emotional hygiene and mental health with the help of art therapy therapy and interesting activities. The workshops are sure to give you a good time and leave you with some interesting insights for your well-being. Payal ma'am, are you there? Till the time ma'am is facing certain technical issues, I would request you all to share feedback about DDD in the comment section. Ma'am, am I audible to you? Ma'am, am I audible to you? Pal, ma'am.
Hello, Gunjan, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible to us.
ठीक है. I think some problem in the StreamYard link, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I hope ma'am is visible and audible to you people. Yes, ma'am. So I would like
Okay.
to know about what mental health is according to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much
much
for
for
having me
having
in
me in
your
your
show,
show,
Gunjan.
Gunjan.
And
And
I
I
hope,
hope,
okay,
okay,
how
how
many
many
people
people
we
we
have
have
live
live
with
with
us
us
right
right
now?
now?
It's
Okay. Okay, fine. So, firstly, to
For everyone
everyone
who
who
are
are listening
listening in
in
this
this
evening,
evening, a
a
very
very
good
good
evening.
evening.
So,
So
please
please
apologize
apologize
me.
me.
I
I
have
have
just,
just
traveling
traveling
somewhere
somewhere
and
and
I
I
joined
joined
on
on
the
the
go.
go.
So, there
There
may
may
be
be
some
some
disturbances.
disturbances.
However,
However,
I
I
somehow I
somehow I
managed to
managed to
find a
find a
place
place
for
for
myself.
myself.
Now, speaking on the mental health, this is like something very important, and we all forget about that. Basically, what I feel, there are two aspects of our life we should always think about as perpetually we grow up the ladder. One is our mental health and another is our physical health. But if all the teenagers we have a problem that we tend to avoid the importance of mental health, and that's how we lead ourselves into lots of problem. In one of my shows which happened just 2 weeks back, that's like called as like honest talk, I told them that in our schools and, and colleges curriculum we have different subjects like history, geography, civics, but where there is no subject regarding our mental health and how to importance of health and how to carry it forward, which is very much important. Now, as we see, is our experiences and my personal experience also. So when we are basically moving ahead in our career or in our personal life, everything seems to be fine, but the person with whom we spend most of the time and the person like who speaks us to our more than anything else in this world is we ourselves. And we often struggle to come out of different types of thoughts and different scenarios and situations that are continuously happening in our life, because the primarily the control of the mental health we are supposed to have. Now I have two news to share. One is a good news and another one is a bad news. So the good news is the time is limited, so okay, sorry, the bad news is the time is limited, and the good news is we are the pilot. Now when it happens in the other way, though we are the pilot but we have a problem, we feel we always tend to give our remote control of our life to someone else. Someone is behaving this way, why he is behaving this way, we get upset. We do so many things for someone person, but someone person is not someone person is not reacting to us probably in the same scenario, so we feel upset. So these are the things that happens because of we are getting our remote control of our emotions to some other person. As a human, or the most important thing as we move from a ladder, specifically in the teenage, we need to understand that the importance is like we are the pilot. We need to have a steering in our hand to control all the emotions as far as our mental health is concerned. The less we give the remote to some other person to control us, the happier we will be. But this is very easy for me to speak for hours and to to speak on mental health and importance of mental health, but this will only come when we will start practicing it. Firstly, we have to understand. I will give you an example. Suppose we are going to the market and we are buying some vegetables from someone, right? Now the vegetables, after coming back home, we find the vegetables, these are rotten conditions or not in the good conditions. The type of feelings we have for the other person is like, what that person had done. So all negative vibrations and negative feelings we are passing it to that person. And that actually, it is not we are passing it to that person, this is something like we are passing it to ourselves, and it is indirectly or indirectly it is affecting our mental health. So what we need to do, we have to understand
we have to control. Okay, ठीक है. Now another example I will say, when we drive our vehicles on the road, सामने कोई गाड़ी आ जाता है तो ना we give on horns and horns and horns, right? So we feel irritated, no, we feel angry. कुछ बार तो ऐसा होता है कि हम गाड़ी के अंदर बैठ के then we started shouting कि please pass on your car, what you are doing on the road, as if the person will listen to me. In some cases the person may not listen to us also, but we keep on shouting, so we are getting angry in between ourselves, and again it is affecting our mental health. So this control of emotions is very much important if we want to, if we want to have a very healthy life and a very fruitful thought process going around. Now we struggle. It happened. I have read many incidents and many things. Most of the teenagers or most of us have a problem of suffering from a depression. Depression means, okay, chalo, boyfriend के साथ breakup हो गया, girlfriend के साथ breakup हो गया, and we don't feel like, what we will do, we will start calling up that person 1,000 times. We will see in the WhatsApp whether that tick is getting blue or not, and then we'll say, okay, it turns blue, why he is not reciprocating, or she is not reciprocating. The moment we see that they had seen but they are not reciprocating or revert to our messages, we get angry, and that the whole night we will not sleep, and we will get anxiety, and we will get serious problems the next morning. Now we have to come to a point where we have to understand that हमने message भेजा, whether they have seen or they have not seen, whether they replied or they don't reply, it's fine. In certain cases what happens when we undergo, I'm taking this example because we can relate ourselves very well. When we undergo a breakup, what we do, we'll hang around in the pub, we will drink, and then the very next morning we'll have a hangover, right? So we have to understand. Now all these are my question is, are not we you and me or whoever is going through this phase, are not we guys are going to get someone better than with whom we had a breakup, right? If the answer is yes, then why to do all these things? Why do we have to understand doing all these things is like very critically acclaimed for our own mental health. Now when these things, as I'm saying, we are the pilot, the steering is in our own hand. Now this will only come through practice of gratitude, and through practice that whatever life has given me, I am happy with that. Whatever life has not given me, I am equally happy with that. Guys, there is no use that you are earning lots of money and packages in lakhs, and then you are suffering in one corner of your room from your mental health conditions. So we have to understand that whatever we are thinking that okay, ये situation मेरे साथ क्यों हुआ, but at the same time there are lots of people who lost their life in this COVID. There are lots of people who are still struggling into the ICU to get a bed, and there are lots of people, whom, have you think of any cancer patient who knows that who he or she is going to die, and after that every nearing day they face the situation, seeing that death coming near to them. So now my question is, whatever sorrow and the grief we have, are these sorrows and grief more than the person suffering from the cancer, or are this sorrow and grief is more than someone who had lost their own person into COVID? If the answer is no, then we have to wake up and tell ourselves that we do not have any right to hurt ourselves at any point of time. The maximum we can control, we can control that part of getting ourselves hurt by any circumstances or by any people. We, our mental health will be super happy. Like why are we, when we feel sad, okay, emotions are a part of life, we cannot avoid it, maybe sad, maybe happy, maybe jealous, maybe angry. But it is like I always say, I always say it to everyone, when you are getting angry, basically what happens, it is affecting into your mental health, and we are feeling okay, fine, getting angry, we are telling the other person 100 lines, and now we are satisfied. But end of the day, just think of the reciprocation you have into yourself the whole day, maybe with your boss, maybe with your parents, or maybe with anyone you are into relationship with. So only one thing is like, guys, in life we need to be stable. We need to understand that okay, I am the supreme. To protect my mental peace is my foremost and the main criteria, and no one else is going to do this for us. So we have to ensure that we are not getting disturbed by any external circumstances. This will not come over time. This will come when there are two things we need to do for it. Now I will tell the remedy also. Firstly, this will come when three things basically. When we start practicing gratitude. हम सुबह नींद से उठते हैं, what the first thing we do? We woke up and we checked the mobile, right? This is the first thing we do. Why? The first thing we need to do, we need to get up and we need to have a smile. So smiling with no reason, practice it. So I learned it from Sadhguru. So I was hearing him in one of his sessions. He said that get up and smile with no reason, maybe for 10 seconds, and you will feel so happy. So this is point number one. Point number two, start feeling gratitude for yourself. This is very much important for anything. See, life has given me lots of shades. Nina Gupta was saying in one of her interviews that life has given me lots of shades, and I have accepted whatever life has given me and whatever life has not given me. So this thing into ourselves, practicing or contenting into ourselves is very much important. Third, most important, the importance of health. As I said, these two are like correlated. Why I say importance of health? We should give 1 hour to ourselves. Anything you want to do, maybe walking, maybe jogging, maybe working out, maybe swimming, or doing nothing, maybe going to the park and looking here and there and interacting with the nature and coming back. Because when we do certain activity, we generate a hormone called, but we reduce our cortisol, which is our stress hormones, and we generate a hormone called endorphin. Okay, so this is the hormone which is a happy hormone for you. It makes you feel good. We generate oxytocin, which is like we believe that we generate oxytocin when we are in love. So we have to start loving ourselves first, because the more balance is our physical health, it is directly related to our mental health. Now abhi se ek din mein nahi hoga. We have to start doing it time and over. I have seen many people, many depression stories I read and I come across, and trust me, out of this mental health condition, the suicidal rates are also getting increased day by day across wherever you go. Now 3 days before I was reading that a child from a school, she committed suicide and she wrote a note where she blamed her school authority, right? So these are the pressures like which get built into us, and we all are mentally strong. Only the thing is like we have to understand our own capability of fighting with the situation and how to deal with it. So this is very very much important. I am I know I had a regular interaction with Gunjan, and I always say her that okay fine, I'm not a speaker, I'm someone like who shares, like who love to share her own story, and with that if someone can listen and help even if one person, my job is done. I tell you one of my stories. So it's like long back into 8 9 years back, when there was something not going good in my, not going good in my life, and I used to, lock myself in a room, and I don't used to come out from that room, and I feel so comfortable locking myself in the room, and not speaking to anyone, and not feeling like eating. So later I understand what is the problem with me. That time I used to weigh 99 kilos. So I went, and again, if we are feeling something, जैसे अगर हमारे if we feel some hurt something, we go to the doctor. The doctor prescribes us medicine or a bandage, and we get fine. So someone who seriously feel need help, please try and speak to your own people. Please go and meet doctors. Even all our cricketers or all our players, they are under regular consultation of the psychiatrist or a psychologist, but that doesn't mean that they are mad. We have a taboo in our society that if we are going and visiting any psychiatrist or a psychologist, people will think we are mad. No. So I tell you, I had gone that situation for long 6 months, 7 months, and I was in a typical sales job. So morning I will go out, I'll start my car, and as soon as the car starts, I used to look on the roads, right? And I can find myself symmetrical. Unnecessarily, I see the tears coming down. Then I tried to sort out that what's wrong with me. I was doing such a good job. I was earning so good. Then why it is happening? I went and I seek help from a psychologist. It's long into, I have never said in any national forums, but here I am saying, if someone can really feel good, or I can help someone. Then what happened, then I understood over consulting with my doctors, that the problem is like I have to start reducing my weight, and that is the problem. And there are certain other problems also which was going on perpendicularly in my life. So I was 99 kilos and I started working on my weight. So over a period of 1.5 month, I lost 3 kilos. And trust me, the confidence I gathered from there, from after losing the weight. So beauty is a byproduct. If we are losing weight or if we are taking care of our body, so beauty, we by default we are going to look beautiful, and by default your confidence will go for high, right? So when I lost 30 kilos and people are starting and coming recognizing me, That time I was working for an organization which in its corporate office placed all my danglers and photos. As soon as I entered, I used to feel like a celebrity. So what I understood, that my mental health was like so bad at that point of time that it has pushed me into a corner of my room into a depressive state. And in return, I started eating anything. भूख लगा है, मैगडी में जाओ खा लो, KFC में जाओ खा लो, chocolate खा लो. So guys, these are again a tendency of emotional eating, which you will do, what, drinking, boozing, all these things, chocolates or brownies. These things will make you feel good, but these are all emotional eating. This will make you feel good only for certain times. Till the time you are having it, but in return, what it is going to do, it is going to have a long term effect in your life. So end of the day, what will happen, you will get your wrinkles, you will get your pimples, and you will look old, and you will lose all your beauty, which none of us want to look like, right? So what is my submission to all the children, or to all boys and girls who are listening me? Mental health is very much important, and it is only you. Doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you listen, how many hours I can speak, whatever, wherever you are doing, but taking care of your mental health is very, very much important. There is no use of being into any toxic job or any toxic relationships which will snatch out your own independence or your own happiness. If anytime you feel you are into any toxic job, it is your responsibility to leave that job and to find a new job for yourself. If anytime you feel you are in a toxic relationship, my request to all the people listening me, please walk out. You do not need someone's validation. You are unique. You are, first find out what is your value, and then add text to your value, and then you find out who deserves you. So I always say, people ask me, Pile, when you are going to get settled? So I always say, what is the definition of settling down? First, to make me understand that. Secondly, I do not want someone to come and to change my life. I want someone who come and who can complement my life. So always try to look in that way. A relationship, or anything. I'm talking about terms and again because of the relationship, because at times it happens that mental health basically, the distraction of mental health basically comes in the youth from a disturbing or from a toxic relationship. वो नहीं मिला तो क्या होगा, वो नहीं मिली तो क्या होगा, अरे नहीं मिला तो नहीं मिला, नहीं मिली तो नहीं मिली, वो नहीं तो कोई और सही. So your attitude towards life should be very good. And guys, I just wrote a write up today. I was sitting in a CCD, and I was wrote a write up. Largely I understood that my best friend is myself. I am my gym partner, I am my shopping buddy, I am my, anything, maybe my tour partner or my vacation partner. So no one can love you in this world more than yourself. You are supreme. So the moment you will understand it, what will happen, it will restrict that power that you are giving to someone else to control your life, and your half of the problems will be resolved. If you are feeling some subjects you are not going get well to study, don't do. जरूरत नहीं है that every one of us should be engineers and doctors. There are other subjects also available. Do what is important for your mental health. Whatever is disturbing your mental health, maybe at the cost of lakhs of rupees, or maybe say millions in dollars, please say no. My mental health is very much important, and I am the cheerleader for myself. I am the protector of myself, of my own peace and my own mental health. The day we will understand it, we half of our problems will be resolved. So this is the submission from my side, Gunjan. I think I have taken more than 15 minutes. I don't know whether I did a justice to my talk or not. But this is like how I'm there in the LinkedIn. Anyone can try to reach me, and want me to speak with you one to one. Please feel free. Please feel free. You can drop a message into my inbox on LinkedIn, and I will surely get back to you. So I wish everyone who are listening to me in this evening, guys, please have a good life, have a mental tension free life, have a toxic things free life. So whatever is disturbing you or snatching your peace of mind, please say goodbye. I want to be at peace. Doesn't matter if you need to say goodbye to certain things, and if you need to avoid certain arguments. Your peace of mind is very much important. Gunjan? Yeah, surely, please. I said it. I said it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very much, very much. Yeah, yeah, surely. So there is a program called Shape of You, I think, or Shape You, something called. This is a program run by Shilpa Shetty. This is there in the YouTube channel. किसी ने भी नहीं देखा होगा तो जाके देखना. इसका एक एपिसोड है जॉन अब्राहम का. मैं कल ही देख रही थी. तो वहां पे जॉन अब्राहम had said that I was not using my WhatsApp. I was not into WhatsApp. So I was into my traditional system of messaging. So he said that very soon I'll move out of the WhatsApp also. So this is the biggest way how you can detox your life. And trust me, social media, when take try doing it, that one hour a day I will take. जब भी हम सोने जाएंगे उससे पहले 1 घंटा हमें सोशल मीडिया नहीं देखना है. जब भी हम नींद से उठेंगे, अगेन आई सेड दैट यू हैव टू लव योरसेल्फ फर्स्ट. सो नींद से उठ के आपको पहले 10 सेकंड मुस्कुराना है, कुछ नहीं करना है, उठ जाना है. देन सिट ऑन योर जस्ट सिट ऑन योर बेड एंड स्माइल विद नो रीजंस. थैंक्स टू गॉड that when you wake up, few people are not waking up. We have to understand. Now coming to the social media, we see lots of messages floating, lots of pictures floating, people going out for a vacation. We are struggling with our work. People have a fantastic relationship with their boyfriends and girlfriends, and we just have a breakup. My boyfriend doesn't understand me. People have they're celebrating their baby birth, and my family is not complete. आते ही ये सारे चीजें देखे ना. Please understand, whatever we are seeing into social media are not always right. People are only posting their happy moments, but there are moments in everyone's life. I believe there are moments into everyone's life which is not as good as they are showing in the social media. Ask yourself. जब भी हम सुंदर लगते हैं हम फोटो खींचते हैं हम डालते हैं सेल्फी. द डे वी डोंट लुक गुड, shall we do it? The answer is no. When you feel happy, we keep posting. So, but when you feel sad, we don't post, right? So there are certain things we have to detox from the social media is very, very much important. If you are happy, fine, that's okay. If you're not happy, then also you should be grateful. At least I'm alive, and this is the reason for me to be happy. Gaur Gopal Das, I follow Prabhuji a lot. So he said into one of his speeches that the two beautiful gift we have with ourselves, is are our two eyes that we can see the world. There are many people who cannot see the world, so think of them. So this is how it is. So but my request to everyone listening me, try 1 hour detox from your mobile. This is very much important. 1 hour when you wake up and 1 hour before going to sleep. It will help you. It is like a detox. It is like lemon water. And after waking up, पहले मुस्कुराओगे, उसके बाद you have to drink water. So थोड़ा सा गुनगुना पानी पियोगे तो और अच्छी बात है. नहीं पियोगे then also drink water, so that whatever toxic things you ate the day before, it will just flush out. Okay. Okay. Next question, Gunjan, if we have.
So our next question says that, like you said, ki people just post whatever good happens in their life on social media, right?
Yeah.
So likewise, should we normalize posting something sad or something bad happened to us, or does it affects somebody's else mental health?
Yeah, see, and now we cannot restrict someone from posting anything, right? Social media is your right. Whatever you want to post, you post. But only one thing I would like to add: post something which is like reading, which or seeing each can inspire another people. Posting something where you are promoting or you are writing something which after reading someone will not have a good vibes. Then I personally don't do it. My all WhatsApp post or my all social media are either related to mental health or physical health or happiness, because it is our responsibility to make ourselves happy and to give others happy. So this is very much important. However, practicing and posting into social media is a one's choice. आप खुद ही सोचो ना, कोई एक डिप्रेसिंग पोस्ट पढ़ोगे तो आपको क्या लगेगा? So you will not receive the good energy, right? You will not receive the good vibes. So it is up to us, like how we can use it. The power of social media is huge. The power of LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, these are huge. You can impact people a lot. So try to be a person who doesn't come into that percentage of people who doesn't pass on a message. Try to be a person that who can pass a message to the mass, who can motivate people, who can inspire people.
Okay. Moving on to the next question, it says, have you ever felt that you are affected by certain feelings of edginess, anxiety, separation, and something like that, and how you coped up with that.
अरे a lot. I'll tell you one of my incidents. I am a human being. पता नहीं लोग ऐसा सोचते हैं कि मैं बहुत मतलब मोटिवेशनल या फिर इंस्पिरेशनल टॉक देती हूँ, तो ऐसी चीजें मेरे साथ नहीं होती है. So it is not like that. I can speak only out of my experiences, whatever I had faced. I told you that I was undergoing my depressing state since last 6 8 years before. I know, and it happened that I was so disturbed mentally. I was so disturbed mentally that whole night I didn't used to sleep. I know, I don't know, something was disturbing me a lot. And since I practice, my workout is my religion, my food is my religion. So what happened with me? It's a true incident. I went to gym the next morning, and I just got, I just got blank, and I don't know what to do. My palpitation, my heartbeat is going high. I got blank, and then I called up one of my colleagues. I asked him, "Can you please take me to any hospital?" Then he said, "Okay, fine." And then I went. Then he took me to the hospital, and they checked my BP and everything. And you will not believe, everything was fine. Then the doctor told me the only one thing you are going through, it is called an anxiety. So you had an anxiety and a panic attack. Start working into it. So again, I want to say, and after that day, I realized that I was not seeing for 10 minutes. I was just blank. I was not seeing anything. So, and that I felt that how bad it feels, and then I started working into it, that how, why I am giving my control to someone else's hand, why I am feeling bad for someone else, some other person. I am also a human. So whatever I have said, everything has happened with me, starting from the breakup and starting from emotional breakdown, drinking overnight. So it happened, and so what I had seen, and that gained me nothing. That gained me only 30 kilos extra, where I was reaching 100 kilos. And trust me, I was taking 10 medicines in a day, and I was only in my late 20s. And when what happened, there was a medicine, when I go and I take the medicine, people used to ask me, they used to look at me because I look very young, and they'll say that, okay, you are suffering from diabetes, you have a sugar. I felt so bad. I used to take a blood pressure medicine, that small heart wala medicine jo aata hai, in a morning one and evening one. And people log bolte hain कि once you start taking blood pressure medicine, you cannot stop it. So again, I want to say, it is a myth, right? It is a myth. And then I started workout, I started practicing gratitude, whatever. Now I made a routine. Whatever has happened in my life, I am thankful to God for whatever He has given me. Because when I look back, I never regret for things that didn't happen in my life, because God had certain other plans which didn't work according to us. But trust me, He has His plans. तो जो भी नहीं होता है, अच्छे के लिए होता है. Practice gratitude. Be thankful. Wake up every morning. Say that when I am waking up, some other else is not waking up. This is the gift we have in our life.
Totally agree with you that the first thing we should love is ourselves.
Yeah, if you cannot love yourself, you cannot love others. A person who cannot love, अगर मैं खुद को प्यार नहीं करती, how come I expect I will give my love to someone else? When मैं पूरा दिन खुद में चिड़चिड़ करूंगी, I will feel irritated the whole day. My mood will be bad. So be a person like whom people feel like listening. Be a person who will pass good vibes, because whatever we are doing, it will come back to us. I will again tell a small story of maybe some 30 seconds. That day I was traveling in the airport, and I see, one lady was, she was struggling to take her out, to take out her boarding pass. So I stopped there for a moment, and I also had a flight to catch, and I helped her in generating her boarding pass online. She told me, "Thank you so much, I don't know you, but you helped me." So I told her, "Ma'am, whatever I didn't do for you, I did it for myself. Because today, tomorrow, when I will be in problem, someone else will come and help me in the same way." So always remember, whatever you are doing for yourself. Helping someone, you will get it back. There is absolutely nothing to worry. If you think, you all love a wrong person, you have given so much of love to a wrong person. Trust me, when time will come, you will get back the same amount of love from the right person in your life. So simple as that.
I totally agree with you, ma'am. Okay, we have an appreciation comment from somebody. It says, "It is amazing how good you understand people and describe everything from depression to anxiety to partnership advice in just few minutes. Um, I thought it takes me 5 years of therapy. I'm lucky to be here to hear you out."
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to hear that. Who wrote that? Can I hear the? Can I that? I know. Can I? Can you tell me the name? The
It's
name is.
from somebody called Frankie.
Okay. Thank you, Frankie. I don't know. Maybe it is your nickname, but thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. It was so nice to have you here with us. Hope to see you in our future sessions also.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for
Gunjan. Thank you
joining,
so
ma'am.
much. So I know we are running short of time.
Yeah.
Okay, if like any other questions you guys have, you can post me one to one in my LinkedIn. You can go and search in LinkedIn Payal Shaha. So I am there. So you can get me easily over there, and you can post your whatever questions you have. I will take it one to one. Thank you, Gunjan. Thank you so much for having me in your show. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye bye.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. we'll be having our more design sessions of DD. Would love to see you all there. Thank you for joining us today.